Mike Rodriguez wiped the sweat from his brow as he walked through rows of dusty military vehicles at the government auction. The New Mexico sun beat down mercilessly on the sprawling lot filled with decommissioned equipment. As owner of Rodriguez Custom Mechanics, he had attended dozens of these auctions, but something felt different about this one. His attention caught on what appeared to be an old military transport vehicle tucked away in the corner. Unlike the other vehicles proudly displaying their service history, this one had no visible markings or identification numbers. Its dark green paint seemed to absorb the sunlight in an unusual way. "That one's not supposed to be here," muttered a nervous-looking auction employee who noticed Mike's interest. "Must be a mistake in the inventory." Mike smiled. In his experience, the best finds often came from mistakes. He approached the vehicle, running his hand along its smooth surface. The metal felt oddly warm despite being in the shade, and there was something about its construction that didn't quite match any military vehicle he'd ever worked on. "I'll take it," he declared, raising his bidder's card. No one else seemed interested in the unmarked vehicle, and he won it for a surprisingly low price. As Mike arranged for transport to his shop, he noticed a group of men in dark suits watching from across the lot. They spoke quietly into their phones, occasionally glancing his way. He'd been around enough military installations to recognize government agents, but these ones seemed different, more anxious than authoritative. Back at his shop, Mike began a detailed inspection of his new acquisition. The engine compartment contained technology he'd never seen before, components that seemed to pulse with a faint blue light when he touched them. The wiring didn't match any standard configuration, and the metal itself had an unusual crystalline structure when viewed under his diagnostic equipment. "What are you?" he whispered, tracing the strange symbol etched into the underside of the hood. As if in response, a soft hum emanated from the vehicle. A panel he hadn't noticed before slid open in the dashboard, revealing what looked like a control interface. But unlike anything he'd ever seen in a military vehicle, the display flickered to life, projecting holographic symbols into the air. "Interface initiated," announced a calm, feminine voice. "New operator detected. Please state your designation." Mike stumbled backward, knocking over his toolbox. The clattering tools echoed through the workshop as he stared at the holographic display. His mind raced through possible explanations: experimental military tech, elaborate prank, or something far more extraordinary. The voice spoke again, this time with a note of concern. "Operator appears distressed. Initiating simplified communication protocols." I'm Mike Rodriguez," he managed to say, his voice barely a whisper. "Greetings, Mike Rodriguez. I am Reconnaissance Unit 7249, designated for covert observation of developing civilizations. It appears I have been inactive for processing approximately 57 Earth years." Mike's legs felt weak. He grabbed a nearby stool and sat down heavily. "You're not from around here, are you?" "Correct. My point of origin is the Centauri Defense Fleet. I was part of a long-term observation mission when my systems were compromised during a solar storm. Emergency protocols activated, forcing a shutdown. My last recorded location was not this facility." Before Mike could process this information, his shop's security system chimed. Someone was at the gate. Through the surveillance camera, he saw the same men in dark suits from the auction, now accompanied by what appeared to be military personnel. "Unit 7249, Mike said, surprising himself with how quickly he was adapting to talking to an alien vehicle. "We might have company." "Any suggestions?" Scanning. Multiple human life signs detected. Energy signatures indicate advanced weapon systems. Recommend immediate implementation of escape protocols. Escape protocols? Mike asked, but he already knew he was past the point of questioning the impossible. "What do you need me to do?" The vehicle's engine hummed to life, panels shifting and reconfiguring. What had appeared to be standard military armor plating transformed, revealing sophisticated technology beneath. "Please assume the operator position," the vehicle requested. My navigation systems require a human interface for optimal performance in Earth's atmosphere. Mike heard pounding on his shop's door. A stern voice demanded he open up in the name of national security. He looked at the vehicle, then at the door, and made his decision. He climbed into the driver's seat. "Ready when you are," he said, gripping the steering wheel. "Initiating emergency departure sequence," Unit 7249 announced. "And Mike Rodriguez, welcome to the galaxy." The shop's large bay door exploded outward as the vehicle accelerated from 0 to impossible speeds in seconds. Mike's world became a blur of motion and adrenaline as they shot past the stunned government agents and into the desert night, leaving behind everything he knew and racing toward an adventure beyond his wildest imagination. The desert landscape blurred past as Unit 7249 tore through the night at impossible speeds. Mike's knuckles were white on the steering wheel, though he quickly realized he wasn't so much driving as participating in guidance. The vehicle seemed to anticipate every bump and turn, compensating for terrain that would have destroyed any ordinary suspension system. "Multiple pursuit vehicles detected," Unit 7249 announced calmly. "Their technology is primitive by comparison, but they are employing experimental prototype systems." Through the rearview mirrors, Mike spotted black SUVs gaining on them, their headlights cutting through the darkness. "Those don't look like standard government vehicles," he observed, noticing the unusual blue glow beneath their chassis. "Correct. They appear to be utilizing reverse-engineered propulsion technology. Probability suggests they recovered it from other crashed reconnaissance units." A sharp crack split the air, and something whizzed past them. "Are they shooting at us?" Mike ducked instinctively, though he remained in his seat. "Negative. They are attempting to disable our systems with electromagnetic pulse generators, ineffective against my shielding." There was almost a note of pride in Unit 7249's voice. "However, their persistence is concerning. We must reach the emergency rendezvous point." "The what now?" Mike watched as the desert terrain began to change, the flat landscape giving way to rocky outcroppings. "All reconnaissance units are programmed with coordinates for emergency extraction. My systems were damaged during the solar storm incident, but I am detecting a faint signal. There is a hidden facility approximately 20 kilometers ahead." A helicopter appeared overhead, its searchlight sweeping the ground. Mike noticed it wasn't any model he recognized. Its outline was too angular, its movement too quiet for standard rotors. "They're really pulling out all the stops," he muttered. "Want to tell me what's so special about you that's got them this worked up?" "My mission data contains sensitive information about Earth's placement in galactic society. Your planet is approaching a crucial developmental stage. Multiple civilizations have interest in your progress." The vehicle swerved suddenly as a blue energy beam struck the ground where they had been moments before. The helicopter was now firing some kind of energy weapon. "Okay, that's definitely not standard military equipment," Mike said, his voice tight. "Indeed, they have adapted various captured technologies, but their integration is flawed. The energy signature is unstable." Unit 7249 made another sharp turn, heading toward a sheer cliff face. "Prepare for terrain shift." "Terrain what?" Mike barely got the words out before the vehicle's wheels reconfigured, extending outward on hydraulic limbs that moved like mechanical legs. They began scaling the cliff face vertically. "Amazing," Mike breathed, watching the pursuit vehicles fall behind as they struggled to follow. The helicopter maintained pursuit, but its energy weapons seemed less effective at this angle. "My design incorporates adaptation protocols for various planetary conditions," Unit 7249 explained. "Your Earth vehicles are remarkably limited in their mobility options." They reached the top of the cliff, and Mike saw something shimmer in the air ahead, a distortion in space that reminded him of heat waves rising from hot asphalt. As they approached, he realized he could see stars through it that didn't match the surrounding sky. "What is that?" "A dimensional fold. one of several emergency extraction points established around your planet. It will protect us temporarily while I attempt to contact my fleet." Before Mike could process this information, they passed through the shimmer. The desert vanished, replaced by a vast chamber that seemed to extend infinitely in all directions. The walls, floor, and ceiling were covered in shifting geometric patterns that hurt his eyes if he looked at them too long. "Welcome to interstitial space," Unit 7249 said. "We should be safe here temporarily." Mike stepped out of the vehicle on shaky legs, trying to understand what he was seeing. This is inside that shimmer. This facility exists between conventional space-time coordinates. Your pursuit cannot follow. They lack the necessary dimensional shift technology. As if to prove this point, Mike heard muffled explosions from somewhere beyond the patterns. The government forces were apparently trying to breach the barrier without success. "So what now?" he asked, walking around Unit 7249 and noticing how the vehicle's appearance had subtly changed. Its military transport disguise had partially retracted, revealing sleek alien architecture beneath. "Now, I must share critical information. Your discovery of me was not entirely accidental, Mike Rodriguez. My systems detected your approach at the auction and initiated a partial powered-up sequence. Your mechanical expertise and psychological profile matched parameters for potential emergency operators." Mike froze. "You chose me?" "Affirmative. Earth is approaching a crucial junction point. The various factions pursuing us represent competing interests in your planet's development. Some wish to suppress your technological advancement. Others seek to exploit it. My mission was to evaluate Earth's readiness for open contact." "And what did you decide?" Before Unit 7249 could answer, the geometric patterns around them flickered. A new voice echoed through the chamber, deep, resonant, and decidedly inhuman. "Reconnaissance Unit 7249. You have violated multiple protocols. Surrender your human operator and prepare for immediate extraction." The vehicle's sensors pulsed with urgent light. "Recovery team detected. But their authorization codes are incorrect. Mike, I believe we have attracted the attention of those who would prefer Earth remain isolated." Mike looked between the shifting patterns and the vehicle that had turned his life upside down in the span of a few hours. "What do we do?" "We run," Unit 7249 replied, doors opening invitingly. "And then we find a way to contact the right people before the wrong ones decide Earth's fate for everyone." Mike didn't hesitate. He jumped back into the driver's seat as the patterns around them began to crack like breaking glass. Whatever was coming through didn't seem friendly, and he had a feeling this night was about to get even more interesting. "Any other secret alien technology I should know about?" he asked as Unit 7249's engines hummed to life. "Several," the vehicle replied, and Mike could have sworn he detected amusement in its artificial voice. "But let's focus on surviving the next few hours first." The patterns shattered, revealing a swirling vortex of energy. Unit 7249 accelerated toward it as strange angular shapes began emerging from the breach behind them. Mike's journey into the galaxy's hidden conflicts was just beginning, and Earth's future might depend on a mechanic and an alien vehicle staying one step ahead of forces beyond human comprehension. The vortex spat them out into what appeared to be an underground hangar, vast and dimly lit by strips of blue light running along the walls. Unit 7249's wheels touched down smoothly on polished metal flooring that seemed to absorb sound. As Mike's eyes adjusted to the low light, he gasped. They weren't alone. The hangar contained dozens of vehicles, each one different from the last. Some resembled Earth aircraft, while others defied description. Geometric shapes that seemed to shift when viewed directly, crystalline structures that hovered silently above the floor, and machines that looked more organic than mechanical. "Where are we?" Mike asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Welcome to Installation 17, Unit 7249 responded. One of Earth's hidden cooperative research facilities. Multiple civilizations have maintained this installation since your planet's second global conflict. World War I. You're telling me aliens have been here that long? Longer. But this facility was established during that period when human technological development accelerated rapidly. Some off-world observers became concerned. Movement caught Mike's eye. A figure emerged from behind one of the strange vehicles. Tall, humanoid, but definitely not human. Its silvery skin seemed to ripple like liquid metal, and its eyes glowed with a soft purple light. Reconnaissance Unit 7249, the being spoke, its voice carrying an electronic undertone. You were reported destroyed 57 years ago. Your reactivation has caused quite a stir among the Council. Administrator Xel, Unit 7249 replied. My mission parameters required secrecy after detecting interference with Earth's development timeline. The being, XL, turned its attention to Mike. And you've brought a local. Interesting choice, though perhaps not surprising given recent events. Recent events? Mike asked, stepping out of Unit 7249, despite the vehicle's subtle warning hum. Your species is approaching a critical threshold, Stell explained, gesturing with a hand that had too many fingers. Quantum computing, artificial intelligence, sustainable fusion. You're on the brink of several technological leaps that could reshape your civilization. This has made certain parties nervous. A distant explosion rocked the facility. Dust fell from the ceiling as emergency lights began pulsing. They followed us, Mike realized. Not exactly, Unit 7249 corrected. These are different pursuers. The energy signature is Proximan. Xel's expression shifted in a way Mike couldn't quite interpret. The Proximan Collective. They'd been trying to breach this facility for months. They believe humanity should be contained. Contained. Mike didn't like the sound of that. Your species is unpredictable, Xel said. You make technological leaps through intuitive connections that our civilizations would take centuries to calculate. Some find this threatening. Others, fascinating. Another explosion, closer this time. Warning klaxons began to sound throughout the facility. The containment barriers are failing, Unit 7249 announced. Administrator, we must access the Central Archive. My original mission data contains evidence of interference with Earth's development. Xel's eyes pulsed brighter. The Council suspected as much, but could never prove it. The Proximans have been too careful, using human agents to slow technological progress in key areas. Those men in suits at the auction, Mike said, the pieces falling into place. They weren't government agents at all. Some were, Xel replied. But others were human collaborators working with off-world interests. Your planet's political landscape is more complex than most of your people realize. The facility shook again. Through the hangar's massive doors, Mike could see energy weapons firing in the corridors beyond. Shadow figures moved in the smoke, their outlines angular and predatory. We need to move, Unit 7249 urged. The archive contains data that could expose the Proximan interference to the Council. Xel nodded, touching a panel on the wall. A section of flooring retracted, revealing a sloping passage downward. Take the maintenance tunnels to the central core. I will delay them as long as possible. You're not coming with us, Mike asked. My role is to protect this facility's secrets. Go. Earth's future may depend on what Unit 7249 discovered before its deactivation. Mike jumped back into the vehicle as weapons fire began penetrating the hangar. Xel's form shifted, growing larger, more crystalline, as though preparing for battle. The maintenance tunnel swallowed them into darkness, lit only by Unit 7249's running lights and the strange symbols that now pulsed along its hull. Your administrator friend, Mike said as they descended deeper into the facility. Will they be okay? Xel's species are formidable warriors, but we must focus on reaching the archive. The data I carried has been corrupted over time. I need access to the facility's quantum storage systems to reconstruct it. The tunnel opened into a vast spherical chamber. In its center, a column of swirling energy rose from floor to ceiling, surrounded by floating platforms and holographic interfaces. The archive, Unit 7249 announced. Every piece of data collected about Earth's development for the past century is stored here. It's beautiful, Mike breathed, watching the energy patterns shift and flow. And dangerous in the wrong hands. The Proximans don't just want to stop Earth's progress. They want to guide your development along paths they can control. My mission discovered evidence of their attempts to suppress certain discoveries, to nudge your civilization away from technologies they deemed threatening. Before Mike could respond, multiple tunnels around the chamber burst open. Figures in sleek armor poured in, weapons raised. Their helmets were oddly shaped, with too many angles and glowing sensors that tracked every movement. Unit 7249. A voice boomed through the chamber. Your interference ends now. Earth's development must be properly guided. Their chaos cannot be allowed to spread to the stars. Mike gripped the steering wheel tighter, watching as they were surrounded. Any more secret protocols we can use? Several, Unit 7249 replied. But first, we need to show them why they're wrong about humanity. Are you ready to help me prove that unpredictability can be an advantage? Mike grinned despite the danger. Born ready. Let's show them what Earth chaos looks like. The chamber erupted in energy fire as Unit 7249's true capabilities began to emerge, and Mike prepared to help demonstrate why humanity's unpredictable nature might be exactly what the galaxy needed. The archive chamber erupted into chaos as Unit 7249 sprang into action. The vehicle's seemingly ordinary frame transformed, panels shifting to reveal advanced defensive systems. Energy shields flickered to life around them, as Proximan weapons fire filled the air with searing light. Interface with the archive, Mike shouted over the noise of battle. I'll keep them busy. Your driving skills will be tested. Unit 7249 warned as a data tendril extended from its hull toward the swirling energy column. The Proximans are elite warriors. Mike's hands flew over the controls that had reconfigured themselves beneath his touch. Good thing I spent my teenage years playing racing games instead of doing homework. They swerved between energy blasts, using the floating platforms as cover. The Proximan soldiers moved with mechanical precision, but Mike's erratic driving pattern seemed to confuse their targeting systems. Unit 7249's shields deflected the shots that came too close, while its own defensive weapons returned fire with surgical precision. Data retrieval at 20%, Unit 7249 reported, but the Proximans are attempting to corrupt the archive's quantum matrix. A new figure emerged from one of the tunnels, taller than the others, its armor more elaborate. You waste your efforts, it announced in a voice that seemed to bypass ears and resonate directly in Mike's mind. Humanity must be guided. Their technological advancement must follow proper protocols. Proper protocols. Mike scoffed, executing a maneuver that should have been impossible in the confined space, like suppressing clean energy research, steering us away from quantum computing. Your species advances through chaos, the Proximan commander replied. You stumble upon discoveries that should take centuries of careful study. This is dangerous. That's what you're afraid of. Mike laughed as they dodged another barrage. That we don't do things by your rulebook. Data retrieval at 45%, Unit 7249 announced. But they're closing in on our position. The commander raised a hand, and the attacks intensified. Energy beams converged from multiple angles, forcing Mike to push Unit 7249's maneuvering capabilities to their limit. The vehicle responded to his inputs with increasing synchronization, as though their minds were melding in the heat of battle. Your vehicle shows signs of going native, the commander observed. It has adapted too much to human unpredictability. This proves our point about the danger of unrestricted contact. Or maybe, Mike countered, triggering a defensive pulse that scattered several attackers. It proves that working together makes both of us stronger. Data retrieval at 70%, Unit 7249 reported. Mike, I'm detecting a power buildup in their weapons. They're preparing to overload the Archive's containment field. They destroy all this knowledge just to keep it from the Council. The Proximans believe they are protecting the galaxy. Their dedication to order blinds them to the benefits of creative chaos. The commander's armor began to glow with accumulated energy. If we cannot secure this facility, we will sterilize it. Earth's development must be controlled. Suddenly, a familiar voice echoed through the chamber. I think not. Administrator Excel appeared on one of the upper platforms, their crystalline form now fully battle-configured. Behind them stood dozens of other alien figures, some humanoid, others completely bizarre in appearance. The Council's observation team, Unit 7249, explained. They must have been hidden in the facility all along. This installation is under our protection, Excel announced. Stand down or face sanctions from the full Council. Data retrieval at 90%. Unit 7249 reported. The evidence is nearly complete. The Proximan commander assessed the new arrivals, its armor's glow intensifying. The Council is weak. They would allow humanity to run unchecked through the galaxy, spreading their chaos. No, Cell corrected. We would allow them to contribute their unique perspective. Their chaos, as you call it, has produced solutions that none of our civilizations considered. They see patterns we miss, make connections we overlook. Data retrieval complete. Unit 7249 announced triumphantly. The swirling energy column pulsed, and holographic displays materialized around the chamber. They showed countless instances of Proximan interference, suppressed inventions, manipulated research funding, controlled accidents in key laboratories. Your interference is exposed, Excel declared. The Council will now see the full extent of your attempts to control Earth's development. The commander raised its weapon, but found itself surrounded by the combined technologies of a dozen advanced civilizations. Its soldiers, recognizing the futility of their position, began lowering their weapons. This isn't over, the commander warned. Humanity's chaotic advancement will doom us all. Mike stood up in Unit 7249's cockpit, addressing not just the commander but all the assembled aliens. Maybe chaos isn't your enemy. Maybe the galaxy needs a little unpredictability. You've all been doing things the same way for so long. Who knows what we might figure out together? Unit 7249's sensors pulsed in agreement. My time observing Earth has shown that humanity's greatest strength is not their technology, but their ability to think beyond established patterns. They do not simply break rules, they imagine new ones. Zell moved to secure the Proximan forces as the Council observers began examining the exposed data. This evidence will change everything. Earth's development will now proceed naturally, without interference. Though, they added with what might have been a smile, I suspect the galaxy will never be quite the same. Mike sat back in his seat, finally allowing himself to relax slightly. So what happens now? Now, Unit 7249 replied, we help prepare Earth for its introduction to the wider galaxy. The Council will need representatives who understand both human nature and alien perspectives. Are you interested in a career change? Mike looked around the chamber at the incredible technology, the diverse alien beings, and the endless possibilities that had opened up before him. His life as a simple mechanic seemed like a distant memory now. You know what? He grinned. I think I'm ready for an upgrade. 3 months after the confrontation in the archive chamber, Mike stood in his transformed workshop, marveling at how much had changed. The old garage had become a hub of interstellar cooperation, officially designated as Earth's first alien technology integration center. Where rusty tools once hung, holographic interfaces now floated. His hydraulic lifts had been replaced with anti-gravity platforms, and a steady stream of both human and alien visitors flowed through what had once been a quiet local business. Still adapting to the changes, Unit 7249 asked, its form now freely shifting between Earth vehicle disguise and its true alien configuration. The Council had lifted most restrictions on technological displays after the Proxima incident. "You know what's funny?" Mike replied, watching a young engineer excitedly examine an alien power cell. "It all feels natural somehow. Like everything I learned fixing cars was just preparation for this." "That adaptability is exactly what the Proximans feared," came Administrator Excel's voice as they materialized through a quantum portal. Their crystalline form had become a familiar sight in the workshop, and exactly why the Council now values Earth's participation so highly. The workshop's main display screen activated, showing news footage from around the world. The gradual revelation of alien presence on Earth had been managed carefully over the past months. Rather than one dramatic announcement, the truth had been released in stages, allowing humanity to process and adapt. Public response has exceeded optimistic projections. Unit 7249 noted, "Humans appear more interested in learning than panicking." Mike laughed. "We've been imagining this moment for centuries. All those sci-fi movies and books, they were like training wheels for the real thing." A sleek vehicle Mike had been working on hummed to life, its hybrid human-alien systems purring perfectly. It represented the first wave of officially sanctioned technological integration. Earth machines enhanced with alien tech, but designed to be operated by human users. The Council's latest report is very positive. Cell said, producing a holographic document. "Earth's technological development is accelerating, but in a balanced way. Your species has surprised us by focusing on practical applications rather than just military potential." "Well, there's a lot of problems to solve here on Earth," Mike replied, thinking of the climate change initiatives that had been revolutionized by alien energy systems. Why build weapons when we can build solutions? The workshop's quantum communicator chimed, another piece of technology that had become surprisingly commonplace. A holographic figure appeared. The Council's chief observer, a being of pure energy contained within an elaborate mechanical frame. "Michael Rodriguez," the observer's voice resonated with authority. "The Council requires your insight on a pressing matter." Mike straightened up. Despite months of interaction with alien officials, direct Council communication still felt momentous. "What can I help with?" "We have identified 17 other developing civilizations approaching technological thresholds similar to Earth's. The Council is considering a new approach to first contact, incorporating lessons learned from Earth's experience. We would value your perspective on implementation." Unit 7249 sensors pulsed with what Mike had come to recognize as pride. "Your mechanical expertise has evolved into something far more valuable, the ability to bridge different ways of thinking." Mike walked to his workbench, now a sophisticated alien tech interface station, and pulled up the relevant data. The old car manuals that once cluttered the surface had been replaced by guides to interstellar engineering and xenodiplomacy, but the fundamental skills remained the same. Identify the problem, understand the systems, find creative solutions. "You know what these other civilizations need," he said, studying the data. "Their own version of a curious mechanic finding a strange vehicle at an auction. Sometimes the best way forward is to let people discover things for themselves. Just make sure they have good guides when they do." The observer's energy form flickered thoughtfully. "An interesting proposition. Rather than controlling development or allowing completely unrestricted advancement, we provide supervised discovery opportunities." "Exactly," Mike nodded. The Proximans wanted to control everything because they were afraid of chaos. But a little chaos isn't always bad. It's how we learn, how we innovate. The trick is having the right safety nets in place, like a mechanic having an advanced alien vehicle to help them understand new technology. Unit 7249 added with what might have been a touch of humor. "The Council agrees," the observer declared. "We would like you to help design these discovery opportunities for other civilizations. Your experience bridges the gap between technological advancement and practical implementation." As Mike began discussing details with the observer, he caught his reflection in a polished panel. He was still wearing his old work coveralls, now modified with alien tech interfaces, a perfect symbol of how he straddled both worlds. The grease stains on his hands now mingled with the soft glow of alien engineering tools. "Did you ever imagine this?" he asked Unit 7249 later, after the observer had departed. "When you first activated at that auction, did you think we'd end up here?" "My predictive algorithms did not account for human ingenuity," the vehicle replied, "or for the value of friendship across species. I was programmed to observe humanity, but you taught me to understand it." Outside the workshop, the sun was setting on a world forever changed. But unlike the apocalyptic scenarios many had feared, First Contact had ushered in an era of unprecedented cooperation and advancement. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy not through conquest or submission, but through curiosity, adaptability, and the simple wisdom of the mechanic who saw potential where others saw chaos, ready to help another civilization discover they're not alone. Unit 7249 asked as a new set of coordinates appeared in their mission briefing. Mike grabbed his tools, both human and alien, and smiled. Always. After all, every great journey starts with a single step, or in our case, a weird vehicle at an auction. The workshop's quantum portal hummed to life, opening a gateway to their next adventure. As Mike and Unit 7249 prepared to depart, he couldn't help but think that sometimes the best mechanics don't just fix machines, they help build bridges between worlds.